This is the super dynamic shooting intro for the SB5K. Transparentic stock and everything. This intro is so right, you won't mind the rest of the video just talking. Super dynamic intro song out. Hey everyone, and welcome to my honest video review of the Heckler Koch SP5K in a SBR config. You're probably wondering why I'm mentioning honest video review. Well, I paid for the gun myself, I paid for the sight myself, I paid for the ammo I'm using for the desk myself, I'm paying for all of this myself, and I'm not trying to lure you onto some gacha games or some strange apps. They're just trying to get the money out of you. So no reason to thank me for that, because I love you guys and I hope you love me too for not trying to sell you some shady shit here. Let's talk about why we're really here. This is the Heckler Koch SP5K in a SBR config. SBR config meaning, for you Americans, it has a stock, it has a pistol grip. For us Austrians, this is just a pistol. If you're wondering why this is just a pistol, you can check out my other YouTube video about Austrian gun law, part 1, rifle, pistol, SBR, what the hell is it? You will know if you're watching my other video. Back to this one. The SP5K with the stock is probably one of my favorite MP5 variants. Well, there aren't that many MP5 variants, but there is just something about this short thing that it just feels good. It's hard to say why, but if you're shouldering it, it's just, it's there. It's prominent. It feels good in your hand. It feels good on your shoulder. It feels good when firing. But how is it that this one is just a tiny bit more fun than a regular MP5 length? So, let's start with a bit of a history. Of course, the SP5K is the first Heckler Koch semi-auto sporting variant of the MP5 in a while. That was before they released the regular sized SP5. It's based on the MP5K, the full auto model. Of course, the SP5K is just a semi-auto variant. If you want to see the length difference, I will show you in a bit. That's the SP5K length for you. And here you go. That would be the full-sized MP5. More of that later. You're probably wondering, why the am I buying the SP5K variant when there is the SP5K PDW variant? The PDW variant has the extended barrel with the free lock outside thingy. Well, it's a free lock barrel, just say like that. To the suppressors, muzzle devices, stuff like that. I do appreciate that there is a variant, but I really like the snubby nose of it. I don't know why, but the SP5K with the snubby nose there just looks so much more sexy than the one with the extended barrel. I mean, come on, look at it. Do you really think that looks better with the thing sticking out here? Nah, you don't. Just pretend you don't, for my sake. The SP5K has the usual things you expect from Heckler Koch. That means it has a semi-gloss finish on the steel upper receiver. The welding marks are still there, of course, but they are way less present than they are on other manufacturers' MP5 clones. That's because Heckler Koch knows how to do shit. Speaking of know how to do shit, they didn't know how to make people happy when they released the SP5K without this pedal release. So usually when you buy an SP5K, this pedal release isn't there. That means to release the magazine, you have to go up here. So imagine you're trying to fire your gun and trying to reload, you have to stretch out here. I can barely do it with my finger, but that's definitely not comfy. So getting this pedal release as an aftermarket part is probably the first thing any SP5K owner should do. But be aware, installing the pedal release isn't easy. You have to cut out some kind of locking bolt that prevents you from installing the pedal release. And after that, you have to fiddle in 2 parts, one left, one right, with a spring in the middle, so that this pedal release will actually hold. It's doable, it's just a pain in the ass, and it makes you probably swear your lungs out. I could give you an example of that, but I'm not sure if YouTube will censor this video if I say all the German language swearing words, so let's keep it like that. There's some other things Heckler Koch changed with the SP5K to prevent it being too close to the military MP5K. See that? There's a pin missing. That's also the reason why you have to stupidly install this spring thingy here and there. But anyway, this pin missing prevents you from installing the usual 2-pin device that has the MP5K, that has the full auto trigger housing. So, no full auto for us. But don't worry, SP5K in semi-auto is as fun as it can be. Let's keep up with the video review. The SP5K has the same attachment points as the MP5, so every scope mount, every scope, being it old or new, that fits the MP5 will also fit the SP5K. But that's pretty much it with the compatible things, because you cannot install full-size MP5 or SP5 stocks. If you look here, you're seeing 2 pins that are above each other. These 2 pins is what you have to look out if you want to buy another stock or brace or whatever for the SP5K. If you're seeing one that has just a bottom pin hole, that's probably a SP5 or MP5 stock and not an SP5K stock. Also, this being a lot shorter than the usual MP5 means that you cannot install MP5 handguards. Well, sounds logical, but still, you have to remember that. The good thing though is handguard and stock are just secured by the same pin system that the SP5 uses. So if you want to get rid of the front end, you just remove it and add something else. For the sake of the review, I show you what the SP5K usually comes with. That's this part here, and you know, for people who cannot own SBR, who cannot own SBRs, this is what they will have up there when they start with fucking ugly. So, one option I have on my SP5K is a mini tiny wrench system made by Brügger and Tomet that can be installed up here. Just have to align the front pin correctly, which is a bit of a hassle. So if you're buying the Brügger and Tomet part and trying to do quick changes, it's not that quick to change. That's because you have to align the locking mechanism inside before you install the pin. And after that you can, there you go. After that, with the Brügger and Tomet part, you can you can tighten this screw to actually tighten the handguard on the SP5K, because if you don't tighten it, it will be a bit shaky, but if you tighten it, it will be fixed. So, and for the stock, same thing here, removing the 2 pins, which is sometimes a bit difficult because not every stock manufacturer keeps to the original specs. So it's always good to have a hammer and a punch pin close to you. There you go, you can see 2 pins above each other. That means it's the correct stock for the SP5K and MP5K. Just having it, put it here, get the pins back in. If you're wondering why I'm sweating, this is not because this is super heavy to do for me, it's because it's freaking damn hot here. It's summer and I'm standing here in a closed room trying to do a video review for you, which is pretty much a bad idea for my body temperature, but it's all for you. I'm suffering for you. Like, forget it, I don't mention it. There you go. Tricked out with B&T Parts. They stuck. Collapsible, of course. Why can't I say collapsible? This is a weird thing. Makes it even more shorter, and as you probably noticed, I've installed the same parts on my other MP5 just to show you they can twin. Aren't they cute? What a nice couple. Beside of that, this B&T stock is uncomfortable as fuck. It will probably hurt your shoulder. It's not nice to because it's also trying to slip up on your shoulder. So if you see this stock that's usually overpriced, don't buy it. It looks very cool. It makes the firearm super compact, but it's absolutely not comfy to shoot. Speaking of comfort, shooting the SP5K is surprisingly comfort. You would think that such a small firearm would have a very bad recoil, but it's not. The roller delayed blowback delivers a pretty mild recoil, and it usually goes straight to the back and it doesn't try to jump up on you. So it's very nice to keep controlled groups together. Bang, bang. Bam, bam. Sorry for the bad sound effects. On the other hand, it has a military grade trigger. They didn't bother to make the trigger more sporty, even though SP5K stands for Sport Pistole 5K, which translates into Sport Pistol 5K, K meaning kurz, short. So the trigger on this one has a rather long creep, but it's really not as terrible as it seems on the first. You will get used to it a lot, and you will get used to it a lot because it's super fun to shoot. The low recoil with the pretty high mass. Right now, this setup weighs about 3 kilograms. That's about, I've written it up, 6.6 pounds for you Americans. So high weight, low recoil, fun gun. That's pretty much the formula you're gonna have. But as every MP5 variant, it isn't free of faults. Having already mentioned the magazine release, so it's not as comfy as just pressing a button and the magazine will fall down. You either have to super extend or you have to go in there and use the pedal to rip the magazines off. Also, if you're loading the magazines up to 30 rounds, you can't install it with a closed bolt, meaning you have to do the famous Heckler slap. Speaking about the HK slap, the SP5K being a lot shorter than the normal MP5 means there's also less space up here. If you're looking at this, the bolt is very, very close to the scope mount. And this is already a low size scope mount. So if you're getting the bolt back, isn't that big of a trouble. Getting the bolt down without touching your red dot can be a hassle. Usually I touch it anyway, so just Heckler slapping it would kind of rip my fingers. So I'm usually using my knuckles to go in there and put the bolt forward. So that's one of the things the SP5K isn't as good as with the full-size MP5s. Here's another thing that's definitely not optimal. The safety. When you're trying to put the gun from safety into shooting position, using your thumb, you have to extend it really far to up there. So you have to go up there. I have long enough fingers to barely do it. I'm not sure if every other shooter can do it. If you're looking at the other side, because it has on the other side as well, you would have to remove your trigger finger to go there. And this one means you have to somehow try to either use your knuckle to go there. Oh, come on. Or just do this, which also isn't that clever. So I suggest still using your thumb to do it. If you don't have a thumb that's long enough, you better get the extended version of this one that's available as an official Heckler Koch spare part. The extended bolt goes about this size here, making it easier. What else is there to say about it? I already mentioned it's a half-on offshoot. It has its troubles. Oh, it doesn't just have troubles, it has iron sights, of course. These are the usual Heckler Koch iron sights with the drum back there. But the SP5K drum only has open positions. There is no closed positions. They have a different high, and you can turn it. So they have a different whiteness, brightness. They have differently sized for the different distances, but they are not closed, meaning they are a bit harder to aim through than the other MP5 full-size variants that have closed ones. But they're good iron sights. They have an almost 10-inch radius compared to the 4.5-inch barrel that's up here. And it's pretty nice to use them, but I would definitely recommend getting a red dot to get those fast groups out of the firearm that it deserves, because this little firearm gets massive bullets down the range once you're at the range, because you just don't want to stop using it. If you're looking at this one, I'm running a hand stop up there, and for a good reason. As I mentioned earlier, I like the stubby face of the SP5 without the extended barrel that the SP5K PDW variant has. But the problem is, of course, if you are not careful, if you don't using a hand stop, you could run probably very close to holding it like this and getting your finger too close to the barrel. So you don't want to do that. That's why I would always recommend using a hand stop on the SP5K. Speaking of hand stop, my preferred option to shooting it is to put the thumb up there to the bolt lever, to use it as a kind of gas pedal, meaning you can even put a bit pressure up there to prevent the barrel from moving up. But that's just my personal preference of how I'm using the SP5K. So let's sum things up here. SP5K in a SBR variant. Very much recommended if you're looking for a fun little range toy. I would also say you can do shooting competitions with every firearm. Problem with this is that you definitely should get the bigger safety lever, that you want to get the pedal release anyway, no matter if you're using for shooting competitions or not, but you will still be not as fast as other people with their tricked out AR-15s, 9mm and other stuff, simply because reloading the magazine on the SP5K is so much slower than on a modern 9mm carbine. It just is. You can try it out. I dare you to make a full magazine reload on any MP5 variant that's as fast as some of those IPC sport shooters with the tricked out AR 59mm. But there's always a but, and it is here. Those AR 15 9mm guys with their tricked out sports gun will never have as much fun as someone who has an SP5K in an SBR config. Their loss, your win. Final question, and that's always the biggest question. Is it worth the money, and is it worth the trouble making it an SBR if you are in a country that doesn't have liberal laws for SBRing things? As an MP5 fan, I'd say yes. I'd say go for the SP5K. Go for the SP5K PTW if you want to mount a suppressor later, but this one's really, really a lot of fun, and I enjoy it more than my full-sized MP5. I do know why, because the full-sized MP5 is just so I don't know, normal, but the SP5K has just this special feeling to it. I know it looks ridiculous when a big guy like me runs a small gun like the SP5K, but it just has this, it has a great feeling to it. So, would I buy the SP5K again? Yes. Would I buy any other very short 9mm pistol or SBR instead of the SP5K? If I would want it for sport shooting, probably. But if I wanted just to have fun, I would go for the SP5K again. If you're buying just the SP5K without the extended free lug barrel, you definitely want to upgrade to the battle release. You can always get a pistol brace barrel. There are several options available, and so that's the thing. If you don't want to SBR it, or for other reasons can't install a pistol grip, still be sure to get a hand stop for it, because you can still nicely aim it without a vertical pistol grip and even C-clamp the whole thing. But again, be sure to get a hand stop. Without this, and you're trying to clamp, you're getting way too close to the barrel. That's it for my video review of the Heckler Koch SP5K in an SBR config. I hoped you are not completely put off by how I presented this video. I'm promising to make the next one better or worse. We'll see about that. Thanks for watching, you guys. Bye.